they discovered several bullet holes in the front of the school behind us.
Parents are very anxious and afraid, and every time this happens, it's like a repeated trauma.
Why have you been AWOL on so many acts of anti-Semitism? Why did you go to the Middle East? Why aren't the Toronto police arresting people for chanting genocide in the streets, which has been going on for 14 months, sir?
You know what? You have to speak to the officers that are dealing with those protests. We do have somebody from the hate crime unit here.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in North Toronto. And folks, I'm standing outside the Bais, Chaya, Mushka Jewish Girls' School. And you know what? In a mere matter of hours, it will be the first day of winter. But I feel like it's Groundhog Day. Because if you can imagine, for the third time, this Jewish girls' school has been shot up. And I'm telling you, it looked like a gangland shooting. Check out the video footage evidence. Speaking of Groundhog Day, guess who clambered out of our little hole today? Yeah, that would be Yara Sachs, Canada's #1 self-hating Jew, the MP for York Centre. She's the one that went over to the Middle East earlier this year to get chummy with Mahmoud Abbas, the pay-for-slay terrorist. Well, we saw her hobnobbing with the people. I guess she's already in pre-election mode. And we went over to ask her some questions. Well, how does that nursery rhyme go again? Oh yeah, see how she runs. Ms. Sachs, what credibility do you have condemning the shooting here when you went to the Middle East to get cozy with Mahmoud Abbas? Why are you pro-Hamas, Ms. Sachs? What do you feel about the descriptor of you being the biggest self-hating Jew in Canada? Why won't you answer these questions? Why have you been AWOL on so many acts of anti-Semitism? Why did you go to the Middle East? Why did you get cozy with a pay-for-slay terrorist? You're not the Prime Minister. You're not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You call yourself a parliamentarian? Who are you, by the way? Why do you hang around this woman? This is the Member of Parliament for York Centre, folks. Can you imagine? This is Canada's biggest self-hating Jew. This is someone who went to the Middle East to, hey, watch it.
Dave, what happened this time?
Huh?
What happened this time?
We got Yara Sachs here, Canada's biggest self-hating Jew running away, sir. You know, how do you like that? Why don't you answer these questions, Miss Sachs? You are a coward. You are a disgrace to the Jewish community. You are a disgrace to York Centre. See how she runs, folks. See how she runs. There you go. That is your Liberal Member of Parliament. She has been sitting out the ongoing Jew hatred. I think on X today, she said something along the lines of, "Not in my community." Hey, lady, 3 times this school alone in your community. It's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Deja vu. Over and over again. In any event, folks, in less than half an hour, there is to be a press conference taking place. We're not invited to Toronto Police Service press conferences. That's Chief Demkew's way of shutting down the alternative media. After all, Chief Demkew, he's in the bag when it comes to Justin Trudeau. Remember that secret meeting and they won't even tell us what happened there? But I don't think they can prevent us from taking part in a press conference on a sidewalk. I see other members of the media going over. Let's see what they have to say about this latest anti-Semitic atrocity.
So it came through this glass here, which is now boarded up. and it went all the way through to the back wall. This area is used as an indoor recess area.
Rabbi, how do we prevent this from happening a fourth and a fifth and a sixth time? I mean, is the solution perhaps personal armed security guards guarding this girls' school?
Perhaps that's the solution. I'm hoping that we're done. I'm hoping that something will happen and the perpetrators will understand that this is not a place to come to, but it's really frustrating.
Rabbi, what is your confidence in the Toronto Police Service? We see week after week at Bathurst and Shepherd pro-Hamas people displaying swastikas, people dressing up as Sinwar. Meanwhile, peaceful counter-demonstrators and members of the independent press are arrested for agitating the mob. What is your assessment of how the Toronto Police Service has handled this anti-Semitism that's been going on now for 14 months in our streets?
Look, I'm an educator, so I don't get involved in this kind of stuff. What I really want to do is be able to educate my students in peace. That's what I want to do. What I would like the message to go out, since we have the press here, like everyone should focus on increasing goodness and kindness. That's the bottom line. You know, acts of hatred and acts of violence have no place anywhere, especially not in Canada. It's a nice, peaceful, democratic country. We're in Toronto, peaceful city. Everyone's allowed to practice their religion in peace. Students should be able to come to school safely. Teachers should be able to come to work and not be afraid. And that's the bottom line.
Rabbi, can you tell us then what the feedback is you're getting from parents? I mean, we were here just minutes ago. We saw the girls leaving the school. I mean, so many of them look like so many little angels, so innocent and pure. Thank God these shootings aren't happening during school hours. But what feedback are you getting from parents, given this is the third time? Are they even thinking of pulling their children out of the school for fear that this might be a way that who's ever doing this might elevate the terror come during school hours?
Parents are very anxious and afraid, and every time this happens, it's like a repeated trauma, and it's really hard. It's really hard. So, are they going to pull their kids out? I hope not. But they're very afraid, very frustrated. We have not received any real updates after the second shooting, and now this happens, and this is all 3 shootings in 7 months. So that's very frequent, and it's very hard.
One last question, if I may. I spoke off the record with security people, and they feel that the reason this school might be targeted is that it's off the beaten track. It's pretty dark here late at night when these shootings take place, yet there's all kinds of side streets to get to the main thoroughfares like Bathurst and Finch. Is this maybe a reason this school has been targeted so frequently, Rabbi?
I wouldn't know. I would not know.
Okay.
Possible. Everything's possible. But I don't like to speculate. And like I said, I want to do my job in peace. I'm an educator, and that's what I want to do.
Early this morning, shortly after 2:30 a.m., we received reports of a shooting at the school. Officers from 32 Division arrived on scene moments later. They discovered several bullet holes in the front of the school behind us. There was nobody inside the school at the time of the shooting, and there were no physical injuries. There was a similar incident at this school in both May, October, and again last night. I can tell you at the May shooting, we are making great strides in our investigation. In the October shooting, we've arrested 2 individuals who we believe are responsible for that shooting, and we recovered the firearm which we believe is responsible for that shooting. It's too early to say whether last night's shooting is connected to the previous two.
Sir, would you support the idea of Jewish institutions having armed private security?
No.
Why? Because obviously it looks like the police can't protect the Jewish community. In fact, at Bathurst and Shepherd every week now, you turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to pro-Hamas people chanting genocide while arresting peaceful counter-demonstrators and members of the independent media. Why the double standard?
Right now I'm here today to talk about the shootings. We're here to support the community for these shootings and to update the community on the shootings. The political speech that you're giving and how you want to talk about, that's best left for somebody else. We're doing what we can standing with the Jewish community, and we are throwing everything at these shootings. Yeah, certainly it's annoying and it's upsetting.
So why aren't the Toronto police arresting people for chanting genocide in the streets, which has been going on for 14 months, sir?
You know what? You have to speak to the officers that are dealing with those protests. We do have somebody from the hate crime unit here, but
Can you speak to that?
Inspector DeRoche from the hate crime unit. It's very challenging to deal with these matters.
Why?
Because every case has to be weighed on its own merits, and the words, although very often are extremely offensive and difficult to hear, they don't always constitute a crime, and they require a lot of time and investigation into it, consultation with the experts in the Ministry of the Attorney General, and we make those decisions on a case-by-case basis.
But sir, we've seen under Section 176 and 319 of the Criminal Code of Canada, these are being violated, and you don't arrest the agitators, you go after peaceful counter demonstrators. Why is that political mindset in play?
We make arrests when appropriate and when legally justified. That's all I can say about that.
How many have you had?
Okay. That is all. Thank you all for coming again.
Well, there you have it again, folks. The words, they're all well-meaning. They're all saying the right things. By that, I mean the politicians and the police. But at the end of the day, they're just words, aren't they? You saw the member of the Toronto Police Service say he's not in favor of this school having private armed security. Well, why not? The police can't do their job. And he doesn't want to get into the politics, you know, why the pro-Hamas people, the police turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to them, while peaceful counter-demonstrators and members of the independent media get arrested. Like I said at the beginning, we're hours away from the first day of winter. When it comes to anti-Semitism in Toronto, still feels like Groundhog Day to me. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Folks, I know you love it when Rebel News tells you the other side of the story, and I'm sure you've had it up to here with the anti-Semitism in the streets of our great Dominion these past 14 months. Please, if you can, go to deporthamas.com. That's deporthamas.com. I'm a lifelong resident of Toronto, and this kind of garbage was unheard of back in the day, but now it's too commonplace. Go to deporthamas.com, sign the petition, and if you're able to, kindly make a donation so we can continue to bring you the other side of the story.